We are back again for the 2025-2026 Premier League season. It is time to have some fun. But I have to ask you, what are your expectations for your clubs individually this season? Join me. Let's have this conversation. Let's go.
Welcome to Football Madness. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, remember to share this. Now let's go have some fun. Let's go.
Back again to another week of Premier League conversation. We are back for the new season, 2025-2026 Premier League season. You see, this season is going to be interesting. There's going to be a lot of dynamism. There's going to be a lot of chaos. There's going to be a lot of entertainment this season. We are going to have some fun this season. I can already see it shaping up. Every top clubs, even the smaller clubs, they've gone to the transfer market, they've signed players, they've boosted their squad, and they are ready to compete. This is going to be entertaining. This is going to be interesting. You are welcome to Football Madness. For those of you that are just joining us for the first time, you are absolutely welcome. If you have found us on Instagram, on Facebook, on Twitter or X, or if you found us on YouTube, you are welcome. Please remember to like, remember to subscribe. Let's continue to grow this platform. Let's continue to grow this channel. For our returning subscribers, welcome back to another season of conversation, another season to discuss, another season to have fun. We are going to enjoy this season. There is so much to discuss, so much to talk about. Please remember to like, remember to subscribe, and remember to share this video. Share these videos to your friends, in your group chat. Football Madness is for everyone. Let us have some fun this season. So let's start with the conversation we have for you guys today. Let's start with Arsenal. You see, this team that Arteta is putting together, because I would say they are still putting the team together. They are not all the way there yet. They still have at least one or two players they can sign to make the squad a perfect squad. You can look at that team and you can say, yes, the strength of this team based on what they were playing last season and what they've played this preseason. Arsenal is a team that want to hold possession. They want to press their opponent high. They want to make sure that the game has structure when they are building up from the back, from the goalkeeper all the way to the forward line. Their defensive stability is still solid. They are still going to be defensively sound. They are still going to be strong in set piece. That's why everyone was calling them set piece FC last season. And their transition game is still going to be versatile. They are still going to be relying on that. That is how Arsenal is going to get some of their goals this season. So we can see how this team is shaping up. Arsenal is a side that plays 4-3-3. So we are going to be taking a look at that today. We're going to be diving into that. And on the weakness that we saw from their team last season, even though they try to hold possession, they are too predictable. They try to go on the right-hand side. They're always trying to go to Saka over and over again. The biggest thing from last season is the fact that they couldn't use the left side properly. Martinelli was not delivering for them as much as he ought to. So coming into this season, I was expecting them to fix their, at least that left wing, to bring in a better player to start ahead of Martinelli. But so far, we have not been able to see that in the transfer window. The transfer window is still open anyway, so that's something I'm still expecting from the Arsenal side, Arteta, to go into the transfer market and fix the left wing so they can stop relying on the right wing, because it was making their game predictable last season. Everyone knew what they wanted to do, so it was easy to defend. And then they were struggling to break the low block teams. They were struggling to break them down. So those are the weaknesses we saw from them last season. So going into this season, these are things that we expect Arsenal to pinpoint and that we expect Arsenal to fix going forward into this 2025-2026 Premier League season. Their play style is still going to be possession based. They are still going to be fast on the transition play. They are still going to be using the counter attack. So this is a team that is defensively sound. That is one thing we can always say about the Arsenal side this last 2-3 years. They are defensively sound. So going forward into this season, my expectations for Arsenal, I expect Arsenal to be competitive. I expect them to compete for the league. I expect them to compete for the Champions League. And I also expect them to try to pick up a trophy this season. That is my expectation for them based on the work they've done in the transfer window this season, bringing in Zubimendi, bringing in Nogard, bringing in Madueke. The likes of Domen stepping up, even though he's still a 15 or 16-year-old kid, he's still stepping up. All these players and Masquera coming in the defensive line, looking sound, looking reliable. I expect them to compete in all fronts. Yes, I expect them to be competing in the Premier League, the Champions League, the FA Cup, and the League Cup. I expect them to compete. That is something I'm looking at this Arsenal side. They need to go home at least at the ending of this season. They need to win a trophy. It is not negotiable. It is unfortunate. They have no choice but to win a trophy this season. This is the end of the line for Arteta. Arteta must win a trophy for Arsenal this season. That is my expectation for Arsenal. But what is your own expectation? I want you to leave me your expectation in the comment section as we are going forward into this season. One thing Arsenal need to pay attention to going forward into this season, definitely need to pay attention to it, is their ability to break down the low block side. That's it. You need to find a way to break down these teams. If they need to sign another 10 that can assist Odegaard in rotating shift, they need to pay attention to that. And they need to sign, like I said, sign another 11 that can come in and give Martinelli a break, challenge Martinelli for that position. Though they brought in Madueke, but I don't think Madueke is good enough to challenge Martinelli. No, Madueke is not good enough to challenge Martinelli. Madueke is a player that will come in and give you pinpoint crossing, but he's not the type of player that is going to try to take on his men most of the time. He's going to put in that cross and having a player like Gyökeres. I don't think Gyökeres is a player that can score with his head. That's not his strong suit. So if you are spamming cross into the 18 box and the striker in there is not good with his head, what point is that cross? So that's the point where we are. That's what Arsenal is going to be looking at this season. That's their biggest problem. They need to find a way to create opportunity, to create attack from the left wing, so they don't become predictable this season. That is something Arsenal need to pay attention to this season. An ability to break down the low block side. That is going to help Arsenal going forward into this season. But based on the transfer that they've done, I give them an 8/10. They've done good work. They've done, yes, definitely. They brought in a striker. They brought in 2 defensive midfielder. They brought in a winger that can play both right and both left. They brought in a centre back. That is sound transfer window. The only thing that will make it a 10/10 for me is if they should bring in a player that can challenge Martinelli, a player that can play ahead of Martinelli, a player that can. It should not be the same skill set as Martinelli. I'll say like at least someone like Eze, or if they can bring in Rodrigo, someone with a different type of skill set that can then be an alternative to the Martinelli on the left position. Something like that will be good for Arsenal. They can look into bringing Eze, they can look into bringing Rodrigo, but they need to bring in players that have a different skill set that will challenge Martinelli and give them creativity on that left side and give them dynamism that will be different from what Martinelli is offering them. So that is something Arsenal need to look forward to this season. I definitely expect them to win a trophy. So that's what I have for Arsenal. For the next thing we have on our list, we have Chelsea. See, Chelsea this season, when we watch Chelsea in the Club World Cup, Chelsea had a good summer. I will tell you that now. Chelsea had a good summer, both on the field and both in the transfer window. This is a side that have done smart business. I would definitely say that they've done smart business. They brought in 2 strikers, Pedro and Delap. They brought in those 2 strikers. I believe that those 2 strikers are going to be key for them. They are going to offload Jackson and they are going to offload a lot of dead weight on that team. So that's something we look forward to. The team as a whole, when we saw them at the Club World Cup, they look stable. They look like they are getting acclimated to the style that Enzo Maresca wants them to play. So we can definitely say that they will be ready for this season. Last season, when we saw Chelsea before December, Chelsea was competing for the league. I think they were like 2-3 points behind Liverpool. They were close. They had an opportunity to go first at some point last season. So that is something that I expect them to build off. I expect them to do better this season. So my expectation for Chelsea this season is very, very, very high. I expect Chelsea to compete for the Premier League. I expect Chelsea to go far in the Champions League. I'm not necessarily saying they should go and win it or go to the final, but at least go far. A quarter-final run, a semi-final run, something like that. That is my expectation for Chelsea. And at the ending of this season, I expect them to win a trophy. Either the League Cup, the FA Cup, but I expect them to win something. I don't expect Chelsea to go trophyless. Chelsea is a side that does well in cup football. So the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Champions League, Chelsea does well in cup. They might not necessarily do well in the league, but at least my expectation for them is they should finish this season at least with a trophy. So that is my expectation for Chelsea. I expect them to make the top 4. They might not win the league, but I expect them to make the top 4. That is my expectation for Chelsea. The style of play for Chelsea this season that we are going to be looking at, Chelsea, they are going to be playing direct attack. They are going to have depth in the attacking space. They've brought in a lot of attacking players, the likes of Pedro, Delap, Estavio. They have Neto from last season. Palmer is still there. They've brought in Gittin. I think they will offload on Coco Jackson and those ones. They still have George, the guy that was stepping up last season. So the attacking depth is really going to be good. They are still in the transfer window to bring in Xavi Simons. So they are definitely going to be high. They are going to be competitive this season. Chelsea must win a trophy. This is a side that has spent a lot of money these past few years. They've boosted their squad. They were able to sign Hato a couple of days ago. So that is something that will help them. Though rumor reaching us now is that Cowell pick up an ACL injury. That is not good for them. But with the signing of Hato and the list of centre back they have on their roster, I expect them to be competitive still. I expect them to try and pick up a trophy this season. Their transfer window this season, I highly rate it. I think that their transfer window is something I'm going to say is 9 over 10. They've done good and smart business. Good and smart business is how I would describe Chelsea transfer window. They signed the right players. They've bolstered their squad, a lot of attacking depth, and they'll be looking forward to this season. The weakness that we saw from their team last season, I would say, was one, their defensive lapses. They are a team that tend to fall asleep during the game defensively. They make unnecessary mistake. Fofana picked up an injury last season, and before he picked up the injury last season, he was having a good season, but at the same time he have his lapses. He makes random mistake. He fall asleep when he's not supposed to fall asleep. That was something that we'll say with Chelsea last season. So, but when we are looking at that team, also they had their over-reliance on Palmer. They were over-reliance on Palmer. So when Palmer started having a bad season, or when Palmer's season started going left, Chelsea attack went to sleep. Chelsea couldn't score goals. They couldn't pick up key points that they needed to. So that's another thing that they will need to fix this season. They struggled in breaking down low block too. That's something also. They struggled in breaking down low block. So that's something we'll be looking forward to this season also. The ability to break low block and the lack of depth in attack in the final third. That is something that I believe that Enzo Maresca is trying hard to fix. He's trying to make sure that he fixes that this season. So we look forward to seeing what Chelsea have to offer. That is side that play counter attack and fast attack football. We are looking forward to see what they will offer us this season. My expectation for Chelsea is high. Like I said, I expect them to compete in the Premier League. I expect them to pick up a cup, either the FA Cup or the Carabao Cup, and I expect them to go far in the Champions League. A quarter-final run, a semi-final run, but I expect Chelsea to go far in the Champions League because I believe that this team that Chelsea have put together is a cup side. This is a cup side football team. They will be able to compete in all these cup tournaments. For the next team we have on our list, we have Liverpool. Liverpool last season won the Premier League, but we have seen them. They've gone into the transfer window this season and they have done a lot of key signing. They sold Trent, they sold Diaz, they sold Nunes. As you can see now, they are reshaping the team. They're bringing in key players, they're bringing in new players, and some of them are expensive players, so the expectations for them will be high. We're expecting them to deliver. So on this Liverpool side, we saw last season, one thing that was key for Liverpool is their attacking strength. Their dynamism in the attacking line, their tactical clarity, the midfield solidity. We saw that last season. It gave them an edge. It helped them win the league. So going forward into this season, I will expect them to take that and build on that. I expect them to be sharp in the attack. I expect their midfield to be solid, and I expect their defense to fix the mistakes that they made last season. We saw last season that Liverpool was a side that was conceding goals on transition. That was something we noticed with Liverpool last season. Their ability to defend in transition was not there last season. They conceded a lot of goals through transition play or on a counter attack. So I would expect them to fix that. We still don't know how the emotional weight based on losing Jota, the death of Jota for Liverpool, is going to affect them. It can affect them positively, it can affect them negatively. We still don't know, but that is something that we need to watch out for this season. Play style, Liverpool was a team that we saw playing direct attacking style. They want to catch you on the counter attack. They want to catch you fast, like in transition, before you could set up your defense or before you could get in the right position. They want to score, and they want to score quick. So that's something we'll be looking forward to see from Liverpool. The likes of Wheat, Ekitike, Frimpong, Kakes, those are players that they've brought in and they are still in the market to sign Isak. So I expect more from this team. My expectation for this team is they have to win the Premier League. They have to be highly competitive in the Champions League. So either they are going to the Champions League final or they are winning the Champions League. They have to be competitive. But at the end of the season, Premier League is a must for them. They must win the Premier League. That's my expectation for this side. Based on the transfer that they've done this season, I will rate their transfer window an 8/10. I believe that it will be 10/10 when they are able to bring in a centre back and if they can seal the Isak signing. Those two signing, a centre back and the Isak signing, will make it a 10/10 for me when I look at this team, because I believe that right now on their first team they have 3 known centre back, because the likes of Endo that is filling in the centre back position is not a centre back, so I'm not going to count Endo as a centre back. Virgil van Dijk, Gomez and Konate is the centre back that they have on that team, because we've seen them sold Kwanzaa to Bayer Leverkusen this summer, so they need to fill that gap this summer before the transfer window is closed. So if you're a Liverpool fan, let me know what is your expectation for Liverpool. Leave it for me in the comment section. We have Manchester City. Manchester City last season had a bad season. Let's just get out of the way. They had a bad season. But this season, I expect them to be better than they were last season. I expect Pep Guardiola to be better. Rumor has it that Pep Guardiola has not gone back-to-back season without winning the league. So I expect him to be highly competitive this season. I expect him to find a way to fix the mistakes that were made last season. With the side, they've done a lot of business this summer. They signed player early during the transfer window before the Club World Cup. But still, I still think there's some work that could be done on this team. Like, for example, they need a right back. When I look at that, their right back position, that's a place where they can do better. They can upgrade on that position. They can also upgrade on the left wing position. That's one where they can upgrade. Well, based on the team. And then also, they need a midfielder. Yes, a CM, someone that can come into that midfield and help them transition the play, because the likes of Gundiga, his age is catching up to him. The likes of Kovacic, age is catching up to him. So Manchester City need a player that can step in there, a CM that can step in there and take those minutes away from those players. It might not be a starter, but at least in rotation, that is something that Manchester City can use. A player that can come in that position and fill the void. Manchester City last season picked up a lot of injuries. They couldn't cope. Rodri was out of the season. They sold. They let KDB walked out for free. So those positions need to be filled. They brought in Czeki and Foden, similar type of players. And then also they still have a Chevry. Those are players that have creativity in their style. Those are players that can create. Those are players that can score goals for them too. So we look forward to seeing what Manchester City have to offer. Tactically, they are a side that play positional football. They will press high. Their defense fragility is still there. When I saw them in the Club World Cup, I still see the same lapses I saw from the last season in the Club World Cup. The defensive side, their defensive ability needs to be upgraded. They need to find a way to defend better. That for the lack of defensive backbone, when I look at all their centre back list, I do not see anyone that I can name a leader, or I can say this is the man that is going to lead that defensive line. Ake, Diaz, Akonji, these are players that we are going to name as bridesmaids. They are not the bride. So Manchester City need someone that can step in that defense and marshal them, lead them, direct them, bring them together and solidify that defense. That is something they will need to do this summer. They need to set some of those centre back. There's too many centre back on that roster. Gavio is still there. Stone is still there. Reyes is still there. So that is a lot of centre back. They need to offload some of those centre back, 2 or 3 of them, and bring in someone with leadership skills, someone with a lot of experience, someone that can lead that defensive line. That is something Manchester City need to look forward to. But my expectation for them this season, I expect them to compete for the Premier League, definitely. I expect them to go far in the Champions League, and I expect them to end the season with a trophy, either the FA Cup or the League Cup. I expect them to finish the season with a trophy. If you're a Manchester City fan, please let me know what is your expectation for this Manchester City side, this team that Pep Guardiola is putting together for this season. Do you like it? Do you not like it? What else do you want from the transfer window? What do you want to see Manchester City do? Let me know in the comment section. I will be there with you guys having that conversation. For the final team we have on our list this season, Manchester United. Manchester United is the only side that is not playing the 4-3-3 in these big 5 teams. Manchester United is a side that plays 3-4-3, or some will say it is 3-5-2. But they will not be playing 4-3-3 this season. Currently, they are in the market for Baleba. They've successfully signed Sesko, they've signed Mbuemo, they've signed Kunha. So these are players that are versatile last season for their team. They were impressive. We saw what Mbuemo did in the Premier League last season. I think that was one of the major signings for Manchester United this summer. So it's going to upgrade the attacking line. Kunha is also going to upgrade them, and the likes of Sesko is going to come in and upgrade that team. Manchester United still need to offload, though they've offloaded Rashford. They definitely still need to offload a lot of players on that roster. The likes of Sancho got to go, Anthony got to go, and at least one of their centre back got to go, and then they can bring in another player that can help the team. That is something that Manchester United need to pay attention to as they are going forward into this season. And also the goalkeeping line. If you ask any Manchester United fan, they'll say they need to replace Onana. So that's something else they need to do. But apart from that, they've done well this summer. I give their transfer signing 7/10. And then with time, from last season to this season, they've successfully signed key players that I would say is better than the ones they had last season. So that's an upgrade. They have cultural, they have experience. They have experience now in playing this 4-3-3 system or 4-5-2, whichever one you want to label it. They have experience now in playing this formation. So that's something we need to watch out for. That's something we need to see this season. For their weakness that we saw last season that they need to fix this season, it starts from their defensive line. They were defensively fragile. Though this formation gives them defensive stability, unfortunately, Manchester United players were not able to play the formation to the best of their ability. They were not able to execute this formation properly. So with the experience gained from last season, I will expect them to do better this season. Definitely, that their defensive fragility was a problem, so I will expect them to fix that this season. Their reliance on key players. They were relying on Bruno to do the whole work for them last season. They were relying on Ahmad. Ahmad picked up a major injury and was out for the rest of the season. Going forward into this season, Manchester United need to fix their mistakes in defense. They need to stop relying on individual brilliance, and they need to play together as a team. But with the key player that they've brought in, I will expect that already. They are still in the market for Baleba, so that is something I will definitely be looking out for to see how that plays out. But apart from that, their play style, they play compact, they play mid block, and they play high pressing. So this is a team that need to get themselves together. Finishing in the second half of the table last season was a low blow for the team, so I expect them personally to make the top 5, top 6. I expect them to be there this season. They need to be there competing to make that Champions League spot this season. For a side with no European games, they have no choice, they have no alternative. They have to make the top 5. I think that's it for the team. So for me now, my personal prediction going forward into this season for the 2025-2026 season. In 5th place, I expect Manchester United to finish 5th. I expect Manchester City to finish 4th. I'll say 4th. Manchester City to finish 4th. Chelsea to finish 3rd. I predict Chelsea to finish 3rd. Arsenal to finish 2nd. And then Liverpool to win the league. That is my prediction for the year 2025-2026 Premier League season. Manchester United to finish 5th and qualify for the Champions League. Manchester City to finish 4th. Chelsea to finish 3rd. Arsenal to finish 2nd, and Liverpool to win the Premier League. That is my prediction for the Premier League 2025-2026 season. So now, let me know your prediction, and we are going to hold each other accountable. We are going to circle back halfway during the season, and we are going to also circle back towards the ending of the season. Let me know in the comment section, what is your prediction? Who is going to win the league? Who is going to finish 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th? Who is going to be the MVP? Let me know. My MVP prediction for this season is going to be Isak. When Isak makes his move to Liverpool, I believe that my MVP of the season is going to be Isak. That is my MVP of the season. Isak to win the 2025-2026 Premier League MVP. Highest goal scorer will also be Isak. I believe that Isak will be the highest goal scorer this season. When he makes his move to Liverpool, he's going to be the highest goal scorer of the league. Which other one? The young player of the season or the breakout player of the season? between Rio at Liverpool and Norman at Arsenal, that will be the breakout player of the season. Yeah. And also Fletcher at Manchester United. That's someone we need to watch out for. I feel like he's going to have a breakout season. And then who else again? Who else again? George at Chelsea. Yes. That's a player that can have a breakout season. George at Chelsea. So watch out for these guys that are up and coming. It's going to be an interesting year. We're going to have some fun. I'll see you guys next time. Remember to like, remember to subscribe, and remember to leave me your comment. Let me know what are your predictions, what are your expectations. Leave it in the comment section, and I'll catch you guys next time. Let's go.